Welcome back to Hear Me Out with Elzy and Butts, and I am Butts. Let's dive into another episode.
Yes, we have so much to talk about. Thank you to all of our friends and family for watching us, for showing us love, for sending us comments. Let's get to it today. So, Cardi B comes out with a hot album, and you know I am a Cardi B fan. Nicki Minaj, they're having a little beef. Now, that's one thing that throws me off. I don't know why women have so much beef.
Why are we on the internet fussing and fighting?
Why? Why? Just pick up the phone, meet in public. Now, I don't want to be on one of those reality TV shows either that I got to go somewhere where I don't like people so I can throw water on you. But back to it. Obviously, Nicki Minaj
Right.
brought culture into it. So my question to you, should kids ever be a topic of conversation when adults have beef?
Absolutely not. I don't think there's any circumstance in which if you and I are having a disagreement, I should bring in Jackson. I mean, there's absolutely no reason why we would talk about each other's kids. Now, full disclosure, I don't have any kids of my own. I have 6 god kids, but I'm adult. I'm an adult, and I can say with 100% certainty that it is absolutely wrong to talk about someone else's child for any reason. For any reason.
Very good, coach. For any reason, let the record stand. See, you can mess with me and I'm going to smile. I'm going to take some before I get with you.
Okay,
However,
now, coach, don't have any threats on the podcast because I
this
can see it bubbling up
is
in
not
you.
any threats. However, I want to be clear. I don't want anyone to see me on the bottom line. So, like, Jackson is off limits. You can mess with me.
Absolutely.
I might even let you mess with Dexter.
Well,
I'm going to
dang,
fight you.
coach. He can mess with your husband,
But he's grown and he can take care of himself.
That's true.
Jackson, oh, do not play with me. That literally is my heart on the outside of my body. You come for him, you coming for me. That's it. Do not mess with mine. But I just think when adults have beef, that's our problem. Don't bring kids into adult situations. And if you can't work it out, for me, bottom line, kids are off limits. So hear me out. To all my parents out there, give me your take on what you think about bringing kids into adult situations.
And I think too, it's the internet, right? So it's going to live forever. And people are recording these things. These kids, if they're not already of age, right, they're going to see it. And if they're not of age, they're going to grow up and read about it. And so you don't want to be in that situation because, as you know, as adults, feelings change, circumstances change, and you can't take this stuff back. And so I just think it's always safe. It's never good to fight on the internet anyway, even grown people, right? Grown folks shouldn't do it, but you definitely shouldn't bring kids into it. There's way too much stuff going on for that to be an issue.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I do think Nicki Minaj sent out an apology via social media. Well, that's what they said it was. Now, when I read it, I didn't take it as an apology. So for me, if you made that mistake and talked about my child, I need to see you face to face. You either come to my house, you call me on the phone, FaceTime, and we're going to apologize. I don't even want you to do that part on the internet.
Right. And I think also, I think Cardi B, from what I understand, responded with a comment about Nicki's child after. And I don't think that should happen either. I know that she said something off about your kid, which is wrong, terribly wrong. But I think you don't compound that by saying, okay, now she did this or said this about my child, so I have to come back and respond about hers. I just think it's wrong for both parties. Everybody is out of bounds.
Absolutely. And kids are innocent in the situation. And so kids operate in how we train them at home.
I
And
agree.
so what they learn from home is what they take out in
Right.
the world. And so it's our responsibility as parents to make sure that they are informed, protected, and that they understand what is happening around
Right.
them.
Right. I 100% agree.
Now, speaking of kids,
Uh-oh.
I'm at that age of Jackson being 9, um, not a little kid anymore, but thinks he's a man. We're
Of course he does.
at that age. So all my mamas out there that understand what I'm talking about, let me know some things that your preteen thinks they should be able to do, even
Mm.
though they're still babies, in my opinion. So one of the things Jackson does not understand is why he cannot stay all night with friends that he met in school or an extracurricular activity, and I have not met their parents.
Just can't
Ye-
happen. It is
So,
not safe. It is not safe. And that takes me back to my childhood. We could never go over. My mom could know them, right? And we were not having sleepovers at other people's houses. Now, they could come to our house if they wanted, but we could not go to our friends' houses and stay all night. It's just something you couldn't do. Now, the odd part about that is we could be hanging out all day with them. We could be all the way across town riding our bikes or doing whatever. But when the street lights came on, you had to come home.
you better be
Uh,
home. You
so
better be home.
I think the dangers now, there's just so much happening in the world, and you just could never trust. Unfortunately, you just can't trust everybody with your kid.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to explain to him.
Good
He's
luck.
like, Mom, do you have to meet them a gazillion times to let me stay all night? I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. I need to meet them a gazillion times. And you're still probably not staying all night. But I at least have to meet them. Now, I will take you on as many play dates as you see fit. But for me, I didn't get to stay all night with a lot of people, including some of my family. Now, there were family uh, members that I stayed with a lot. But as far as friends, I didn't really get to stay with people until high school. And my family and my mom had known their family forever. And so she was going to call them, talk to them, see who was going to be staying at the house, what we were going to be doing, where we were going to eat, what time we had to go to bed. So there was a thesis
100%.
that had to be explained before I got to stay all night. And literally, I probably only stayed all night with two of my friends in high school. And one was Anna Rufre, now Anna Green. Um, and the other one was Jody Hart. And maybe one of my other high school friends, Joni Bardoff, but my family knew their family. And this was high school.
Right.
So hear me out, fans. Talk to us. Do you allow your son or daughter to stay all night with their friends? And if so, what age? I'm just so paranoid because you never know what's going on in other people's houses.
You don't.
And like I said, my heartbeat on the outside of my body. So if I am letting him stay all night with somebody, oh, I wholeheartedly trust in what is happening.
Well, I made the mistake of letting Jackson, aka the Chach Mach, stay all night with me. And oh man, it was an early mistake. It was an early morning mistake. First of all, we ate good, right? We ate all night. We had a good time.
Well, that's
Good
normal for
time.
you too.
But at about 5 in the morning, I get a knock, nine nine, on my door, nine nine. I'm like, What? Are you up? Are we supposed to
Yes.
be doing stuff? No, 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 no. You
Yes.
have to go back to bed. So, but anyway, I just kind of got off topic. It took me back to our sleepover, and
Yeah.
but yeah, you
So,
can't let everybody take care of your kid. No, not even close.
but I guess what age, if you had kids,
That's
what
tough.
age would you allow your child to stay other places?
You can't say never.
I wish. I wish.
You can't say never. I'm thinking never on that one. Man, that's rough. I think maybe the age I'm thinking is, when they're teenagers, and at that point, how many sleepovers are they actually having, right? At 15, 16 years old.
I mean, I would be fine with college. Have people sleep over with you once you get there. That's fine with me. The second thing to our listeners, what age, this is a big topic, do you allow your child to have a cell phone? Now,
Ooh,
unlike us growing up, we didn't have phones. Well, I didn't have a cell phone until college. But when do you give your child a phone? So if it was up to Jackson right now, he would have a cell phone. I do not feel comfortable with that. I was like, well, who are you calling?
right.
Because you're either with me or with someone that knows how to reach me. So what do you need a phone for?
I think as far as the cell phone deal goes, I think if your kid is in sports, right, and maybe they are an athlete, they're basketball, they're track, they're football, they're soccer, they're all of these things, they're chess, they're band, whatever it is that they're participating in after school, right, that causes them to, after the school hours end, be there potentially with other kids and maybe a coach, but maybe around people, not as many adults, right? I think maybe at that point, cell phones could be okay. The 11, 12-ish, 13,
Did you say 11?
yeah, 10-ish.
Oh,
Because don't they,
oh,
like
mm,
11, I think, don't they start participating in after school activities then,
they
not
do.
not teachers, a bunch of teachers are not around. And so if something happens, that's my only thing. When they start taking trips with other people and you're like, all right, this is an emergency situation. If anything happens, I want to be able to track my kid. I want to be able to connect with them. I want them to be able to call me. Those are the times when I'm thinking a phone is appropriate. But
Mm.
even then, I think it's tough because once they get the phone, right, it's going to be hard to take it away,
Well, it's
even if
hard
you
to
want to
take
just
away.
have it for trips or anything like that. So
And then being able to regulate what they're watching on the phone because they're even with an iPad,
it's
I get so
dangerous.
nervous. I'm like, well, these games, people are talking to them on games, messaging them. Well, I officially last week earned the title of overprotective mom.
Oh no.
Well, I'm honored. That didn't hurt my
Oh
feelings any.
no.
But he was like, Mom, you're too overprotective. I need you to be like the other parents that allow all the freedom
Hmm.
that they want. But
The
that
key word
also,
there is other parents.
yes,
The key words, I should say, other parents.
yes,
They are not me, son.
they are not me. And so that included chores as well. So talk to us if you're listening. At what age did you make your kids do chores? And did you get paid for chores? I never got paid for any chores. So I just continued on. So he does not get paid for chores either. So he's like, you're making me do all this work and you're not paying me. And I was like, you live in a nice
Right.
house, you eat, you have clothes. That is your pay. What do you think about that?
No disagreements from me. 100% agree.
Now, when I was younger, I wanted to get paid for my
You wanted to
chores.
get paid for your chores?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, while we're talking about chores and we're transitioning into um, our last couple of episodes, we talked about friendships. let's transition into that. I think that really resonated with a lot of people. And what are some of your thoughts and feedback that you received, and what kind of follow up questions do you think we should answer?
Well, I did. I received some feedback from one of our listeners, and I thought it was really good. The question she wanted to have answered was, when do you know a friendship has run its course? When do you know it's timed out? And I'll let you answer that first.
Well, I just feel like it's timed out when you are giving more than you are receiving. And now I don't feel like it has to be 50-50 all the time, or, sometimes it might be 70-30. There's life circumstances, there are things that are happening. But when they no longer pour value into you, I feel like the relationship is done. Iron sharpens iron. When you all can't help each other grow, evolve, have honest conversations about life, then you've probably tapped out. Or there's betrayal, which we've talked about. Um,
Absolutely.
and not that you asked me this, but we were talking about a reel this morning. So if you are close friends with someone
Hmm.
and they are friends with someone who betrayed you,
Phew, that's tough.
are
That's
you
tough.
still friends with them, or do you feel like they should sever ties with people? I mean, this is a complex, this is
It's
deep
very
and a lot of
complex.
layers, but what are some of your thoughts on that?
It's layered. So the first one, I'll go back to, when do you know the friendship is over, right? And I do agree with you, when you are putting in a lot of effort and that's not being reciprocated. I definitely think you have to understand that, as well as betrayal, because who wants to deal with that? None of us. But I also think sometimes when you're around people for so long, if you guys don't challenge each other in a way to make each other better, and you constantly, every time you get together, it turns negative. And whether that's negative conversation about other people, whether that's negative conversations about, you know, something that they don't like that you do all the time, I think you have to understand, you know what? We're probably just better off checking in on each other every now and then. But even that it may just be over. It's run its course. It's run its course, because you have to be with people who are going to make you grow. And
Absolutely.
if you're not being with people who are going to challenge you, who are going to champion what you are doing in your life as well. If that friend is always in the corner having something slick to say about things that you want to accomplish in your life, or things that you have accomplished in your life, that's a big one too, right?
Absolutely.
If they're not cheering for you and they're always finding fault in things that you're doing, that relationship has probably run its course.
Right. And if
Um,
they just bring negative energy, I have no time. If
yeah.
you drain my battery, that's where I am in life. If you drain my battery every time I talk to you, I'm probably
Right.
not talking to you. I'm probably not even checking in on you, to be honest. When you drain my battery to zero every
Right.
time I talk to you, it's probably run its course for me.
This, I,
Well,
I,
because yeah, that's it.
that's it, and that's all.
That is it, and that is all. Because at this juncture of life, we are at the age, and you talk about it all the time, time.
It's important.
Who do I want to spend my time with? We're already busy with work and kids and husband. So when we get to friends, I definitely want to be around people that I enjoy being around.
Right.
If I have to work too hard to be around you, I'm not going to be around you.
I 100% agree with that. And, you know, in terms of, do I remain friends with someone who has betrayed or been disloyal or whatever it is to a very good friend of mine? The answer is, in short, no. The other answer to that is I think it's layered. I think it's
I
complex.
do.
I think because there are situations, right? It could be situational where maybe one friend, they had a disagreement on something, and maybe once you got all sides of it, it wasn't as egregious as it was being presented to you. So you don't want to be premature, especially if both people you thought were very good friends of yours, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, outright betrayal, it's over. Like I don't think you can kind of blur the lines on that because where do I go? I'm hanging out with one friend who felt absolutely betrayed and was betrayed by another friend. I just don't think we can have. We're not going to be able to connect
Yeah.
in my mind at all
At all. And you know how I am
because
about
character is
connection.
important. Character is important, and it's beyond what someone has, what someone can do, the position that they may have in life. It doesn't matter. If you have poor character, I can't associate.
Absolutely. And I'm a relationship connection type of person. And so I do think it is complex because I think you can't make decisions prematurely. However, I'm a ride or die chick. And if it is blatant disbetray, you
Flagrant,
betray, yeah,
flagrant
flagrant.
foul. If it's a
Flagrant
flagrant
foul.
foul, it's
If
over.
you betray someone that I love and trust, it will be really hard for me to connect with you on the level that we need to connect to be friends anyway.
Right. There's
Because
a
then I
level of there's a level of deception. Um, Two, when you talk about betrayal and you talk about different things that could happen in your life, when people have to start lying and making up stuff and doing other things, and when you think they're being honest, there's also something to be said for that as well. When you There's such a facade that people put up sometimes, right? They present one way, but behaving in a totally different way. Once that is exposed, it's kind of like having that boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever you have, a husband or wife that cheats on you or that betrays you. It's hard to forget that. It's hard to come back from that because that's what you're thinking about all the time. It's the same thing in relationships and friendships.
yes. And so once betrayal happens for me,
Trust.
I I can't unsee it now. I just cannot unsee it. And so that's why you have to keep your circle very small. One piece of advice, if you could ask your younger self, about friendships, how you develop them, how you grow them. What would be the piece of advice that you give your younger self?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I think for me, it would be really nurture the relationships and the friendships that are the deepest. I think if you found a true friend and you found someone that you really connect with, they are really supportive of you. You are really supportive of them, and they give to you equally as you give to them, and freely. I think that the last part, freely, I think is a big thing. People who don't expect anything in return. Uh, More monetary, more of your, just I'll do this for you if you do this for me. I
Yes,
think you have to avoid those type of relationships. And when you find a relationship that is not based on that, that's based on sheer connection, sheer love, I think you have to nurture those relationships. I mean, that grass is greener on the other side. I think you got to water that grass. And that's the same thing with your friendships.
absolutely. I think I would tell my younger self smaller from the beginning. I
Mhm.
think, you're younger, you think everybody's your friend, you kind of having a not just acquaintances. I don't want to say that, but you're in college, you have a lot of friends and you're hanging out. But I think now that I'm older, I would go back and make my circle a lot smaller and really invest in. the people that I wanted to invest in. Like I wasted time with people that I don't even talk to now.
Right.
So that's time that you can't get back. But I also think that's an opportunity to learn and grow and, and life happens, right? And
Absolutely.
life happens. And so I think that is valuable as well.
Yeah, and I guess it was the great poet Maya Angelou.
Oh,
When
great one.
people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Believe. Oh,
Believe them.
yeah, believe them the first time. Um, yes, that was something I've learned the hard way the
Yeah.
last couple of years. But I think we all learn and grow. And sometimes you got to get knocked down, whether it's job wise, whether it's friendships, whether it's relationships. You know, God places obstacles in your way for you to see, for you to learn, for you to grow, and your mindset will never be the same. And if things are always good, you're
Right.
never going to make a change.
This is true. And change, we know,
It's a
is a
must.
must.
Coach Summit, things you must change and you must grow and you must evolve. So, hear me out. What are things that have happened to you over the last year or two that have forced you to change, to grow, just open your mind to a totally different perspective
Right.
than where you were a couple years ago?
You know what? This is a great, I think, a segue into when you are feeling, when you've had those instances in your life, whether it's work, whether it's friendships, and you feel like you've gotten to a point where you're stuck, right? You're just kind of you're in a bad spot, whether it's emotionally, via a relationship or work. What anchors you? Is it a habit? Is that a person? Is that a thing that you kind of go to? Is that your faith? What is your anchor? What brings you out of that spot?
That's a great question. And I have been there a lot in the last year and some change. I would just say my faith.
Yeah.
I need to get to church and let God speak to me and be still, be quiet, and let God work. And, sometimes we miss the blessing or we miss the message that we're supposed to learn because we're running around
Right.
trying to fix it, trying to make ourselves feel better, whatever the case may be, when God has already put you on assignment.
Right.
He already has a purpose for you. He already has a plan. But the more we fight it, more
Right.
things keep happening. And we
Right.
don't understand that. And, so I've really had to learn, take a step back, let God work, let God speak. And the magical thing about it is it might not be what we want it to be.
Absolutely.
So there's things that I wanted to do that God did not have for me. So it doesn't work. And so he's going to keep steering you back into the direction of your purpose. And that's hard to swallow sometimes. And it will be greater on the other side. However, you got to live through the now.
This is
You got to
true.
live through the now. And I would just say decluttering my mind,
Hmm.
whether that's reading, working out, journaling. I think you have to have peace in your mind in order for you to have clarity.
Hmm. I would agree. I would agree. I think for me, I am definitely anchored by my relationships with my friends, uh, faith, obviously, and just habits. You again. I go back to, and I'll always go back to things I learned from Summit. Left foot, right foot, breathe, repeat.
Repeat.
Left foot, right foot, breathe, repeat, and understanding that everything you do in small bites, right? It's just a little bit at a time, chip away, whatever that mood is, whatever that space or that time in your life, whatever is going on, understand that it's not going to be solved in that sleepless night or sleepless nights. You have to you have to understand that. And what, again, that anchor for me is my friend. They are my friends, my family, and my faith. I didn't mean for that to be all F's, but it is.
I like
So,
it. I like it.
I got F's to give today.
Yeah, and I also think, keep going. Keep going. So to our
Absolutely.
listeners out there, life does happen to everyone. And
It-
I do think we're in an era where social media makes life feel like everybody has the perfect life, perfect family, perfect everything. Well, that is not even real life. That's not real. And so I think people get caught up in that. And so it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to have disappointment. Don't even get me started about mental health. Now, I really just went off the rails of topics, but I think making sure peace and clarity, but also nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. Just try to keep it steady. And that is a mantra that I live by. When my world feels crazy, let
Mhm.
me just get back to steady,
hmm
which
And
is
I think it
harder
goes
to
back
do
to
than
some
think.
habits that you formed over the years and developed as you've gone through life with a bunch of peaks and valleys and ups and downs. You know, I think people have to go back to what they know and what they're comfortable with. What habits have you created? The journaling. You've been doing that since college.
In college.
You've been writing things down. We are totally opposite in that.
Totally
Um,
opposite.
but I think that works for you, and it works for millions of people. And what works for one person may not work for the other, but I think whatever does work for you, go back to that. Get yourself centered, get yourself anchored, to get out of those bad spaces. That's my answer to it.
Absolutely. And when you think about life, we've had 47,
Yes, indeed. You finally caught up to
47.
me. You
I
finally caught up to
finally
me.
caught up to you. I am 25 forever, but however, on some days I am 47. And when you think about what are some of the toughest things that you have ever experienced in your
Ooh,
life, um, and obviously everybody has gone through something. But October is the month of pregnancy and infant loss. And so, all my mothers out there that fall in this category, I want to say that I am lifting you up in
oh,
prayer. We are praying for you, with you. It is one of the hardest things to deal with, whether it's a miscarriage or a stillborn or you've lost a child. No one understands unless they have been there. So I want to make sure that if you know a mother out there, take this time. It doesn't have to be just in October, but since we are celebrating it during the month of October, reach out to someone, lift another woman up. I have been here. As you know, you've been through the journey with me, and it is just gut wrenching. And so I have 6 angel babies. So if anybody else can resonate with this, please let us know how you dealt with it. But it does not go away. And it's something that you think about all the time. But I do feel like a lot of people do not talk about losing their babies, especially when you've had miscarriages. So, hear me out. If you've had a miscarriage, how did you deal with it? Did you talk about it? Did you share it? For me, I felt like I was in a secret society that no one talked about until it happened, and you actually put it out in the atmosphere, and you wouldn't realize how many more
right.
women have dealt with it.
Right. And fortunately for me, obviously, I have not dealt with that, but we've been friends for so long. So I've been there for the losses that you've experienced, and they were not physically happening to me, but they were certainly mentally and emotionally happening to me. And The last one was very one of the last was very jarring because I was there for that one, and it was very strange. And strange probably isn't the right word to describe it, but the feeling of helplessness for me, I can't imagine what you were feeling in that space, but for me, it was a feeling of, oh my gosh, what can I do for her in this situation? Obviously, outside of getting medical attention, but from a emotional standpoint, and that feeling of, as your friend, as your sister, who there was nothing. I felt, you want to be able to help your friends, you want to be there for them, but I felt like there weren't any words, there were not there was nothing I felt like I could say to make that situation better in the time. It was wild because we were getting ready for a big game, and I definitely don't want to relive that moment.
Well,
If
we're
you're
gonna
not
relive
comfortable
it
going
because
there,
I wanna make sure that women understand it happens all the time. It happens
yeah,
all the time, and you go through your head and you're like, "How is it that my body cannot do something that women across the country for ages can just do all the time, and it's my body that can't?" But just to play it back, it was crazy, my last miscarriage, that we were together. And so for the listeners out there, I've shared my story several times, and I will continue to share my story because I pray that it resonates with someone that has lost or feeling the way that I have, or my friends that I know that have lost their child. But we were getting ready for a big game. Well, let's rewind. First of all, it was surprise. I'm
well,
pregnant.
yeah,
Surprise.
and I think I was like, you need to go get a test, and you
Yes.
were against. You're like, no, I don't need a test. I'm good. I'm like, no, you need to go get a test. So I went. I think I went to
Yes.
get them.
You
I think I
went
got
to
to get
you went to
several.
Kroger to you went to Kroger and you got the test, because I was like, I'm fine. We're getting ready for a game. And mind you, this was right. I just became the interim head coach at Kentucky. And so I was like, no, I think I'm just stressed out. We're good. So you were like, no, take a test. So when I took the first test, it came back positive. I was like, you have to be kidding me. Surprise, surprise.
Right, right.
Um, because we had tried in vitro, we've done everything. Surprise, a miracle baby, right? And I'll never forget it because we were getting ready to go to K State. And I was like, it came back positive. And you were like, you're kidding me. You left and went and got another
Got
test
another one. Right,
and came back. And it,
right.
it came back positive. And I was like, this is insane. God is hilarious. And I called the doctor on our bus ride to the airport, and he could not believe it. He was shocked. So he says, keep your stress levels down.
As
Make
we're
sure
playing games.
make sure that you don't get yourself stressed out. So make a long story short, there was only a couple people that knew, um, and I was feeling fine until I wasn't.
Right.
And so I'll never forget, we're the day before we're getting ready to play Indiana. I say to you, I'm going to lay on the couch. I am
Yeah.
not feeling well. You go ahead and start practice, and I'm going to come down. And you remember, you
Yes.
were so worried. I was like, don't worry, I have my phone up here. I'll call someone. So my plan was to get up off the couch in about 20 minutes, come down and join you all for practice. Except I never
Yeah.
made it
I don't
down to
think even
practice.
I don't even think I made it to practice initially on time.
Right.
Or did I? I
You
think
didn't.
you called me in the office.
And I was like, I'm just not feeling well.
Yeah.
I'm just not, I started cramping. I was like, I'm just not feeling well. But I was like, you go ahead and go down. You were late, but I was like, I'll
Right.
keep my phone because you're worried. Well, needless to say, I never made it to practice.
Right.
I started feeling wet. I started feeling worse. So I got up to come get one of you guys and ended up on the floor. And we all
Yep.
know how that turned out. So a sad day that I'll never forget. But for you, the team, the staff, everybody stepped up and you ended up coaching that next game. And yeah, so life does happen. And I think a lot of time things happen that people don't know about. So it wasn't like we announced it.
Yeah, we
We
didn't
didn't
announce
announce
it.
it. We just said
Nobody knew.
I was kind of feeling ill. So the game was going on. I was laid in bed in so much pain. But I do remember, I don't know why I turned the game on because I was in so
Crazy.
much pain. I remember taking a pain pill, but the game was going back and forth. I stood up. I was watching in front of the TV. Everybody was trying to get me back in bed because I was supposed to be on bed rest. But the competitive spirit uh, kicked in. However, that just goes to show you, though, you never know what people are dealing with. So, had we
Absolutely.
never came out and said anything, no one would have never known the battle that was going on behind the scenes.
No. You're absolutely right. And I was like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" Because the entire time I'm thinking, what are we gonna tell the team? All of a sudden you were not there, right? And we had been preparing to play Indiana, and I think they were ranked at the time.
They were.
Um, and it was gonna be this big home game for us, and we were getting ready, and all of a sudden it was just you were done. And not necessarily just you were done with the for practice, you were done. It wasn't like you were gonna come back the next day. You couldn't. It
I
was
could not.
but it was a situation where we weren't telling people, hey, this is what happened. So it was one of those things. And the whole entire time, I'm like, okay, how is she doing? I'm thinking about that. I'm coaching the game. I'm going now. This immense amount of pressure is like, all right, what do we do here? Right?
Yeah.
She's not going to be playing, but I also have the weight of knowing you're not doing well.
Yeah.
You're not doing well, not necessarily so much physically because you were still in pain and that part had been done, but mentally, I
Mentally.
knew what it meant.
Yeah.
So I was okay. Even once this game is over, win or lose, which we won for you anyway.
He
We
did. He
won, by the way.
did. He did.
But win or lose, I knew it was so much bigger
It was.
what was going on for you and even Dexter.
Yeah.
Because again, at this point, we had lived through the other miscarriages and the
Yeah.
other losses. We had already lived through that. And every time you would call and say, hey, we're going to try again, you know, obviously you as the mom, there's so much trauma and so many things that you're dealing with and that you're going through. But me as the friend who is like, every time I get the phone call, and I was pretty honest with you.
You were?
It's like, are you guys sure you want
Mhm.
to, you want to do it again? I support, but are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I just knew the emotional toll it was taking on you. Each try, each failed in vitro, each failed. All of the doctors, all of the shots that none of these people knew, nobody knew what was happening other than us,
Yeah.
right? All of these years. And so for me, that worried me so much. Like, how is she going to bounce back from this? And you want to remain positive, you want to remain, but if it doesn't work, what's going to happen then? Like, how is she going to be? How is she going to handle that? And so that was really tough. That was really tough. And um, I think for you, the scale is what people don't understand. Um, the resilience, the toughness, the wherewithal, the just the fortitude, the everything that you embody, not only as a coach, but as someone who's a mother who is dealing with all of these things. And in the midst of that, finding the ability, finding the courage, and you know what? I'm a mom. That's who I am. That's what I'm going to be. And then making the decision to adopt. And, I think I was at Arizona at the time, and I had to record my video, to tell the people. It's just a whole lot of things
Yeah.
that we've kind of dealt with and been through, that people really don't understand, and they don't know. Not necessarily because it's a bad thing. It's just that, this is life, and this is what was happening. But I think you've handled it with so much grace and so much courage, that people didn't see that. You didn't crumble, right? You did silently,
Yeah.
and you did in
I,
the comfort of your own home, and you did to your family and to your husband, but you were able to left foot, right foot, breathe, repeat.
Absolutely. And so for all my mothers out there, I get emotional just even talking about it, thinking about it. Um, but that last miscarriage about took me out. That was probably one of the darkest and hardest years of my life personally. Professionally, I was on a high. That was the crazy thing. Professionally, I became a head coach. And so flying high professionally, probably as low as I've ever been personally. But the last miscarriage, like mentally, wiped me out. So, for my moms out there, have you ever been two things can exist at one time?
Absolutely.
And so I think work saved me. Not think, I know work saved me. I probably would have been in a state of deeper depression had people not been counting on me to get back up and coach. So I think that team, that staff saved me because it forced me to get up and to move and to carry during some of my darkest times. And so I will forever be grateful to you, the staff, and that team, because that probably was the lowest of the lows. And still having to grieve and still work and keep your mind sharp. But the thing about miscarriages that people don't understand, it's not like people understand how to help you because you're not going to a funeral,
Right.
you're not burying anyone, but you still lost a child. So either people just, if you hadn't said anything, it's like, oh, you can try again, which is the worst thing you can say to someone who had just lost something growing inside of them, or kind of act like it didn't happen. So it's just a hard because it's just hard. But through all of the miscarriages, I have met some amazing women who have gone through um, miscarriages or infant loss. And through that, we have a group that when we know other women have lost their child, we reach out and do different things. And till the day I take my last breath, I want to help uh, bring awareness and advocate for women that it is possible, whether nature or nurture, you can become a mom. Don't give up. And then it's okay not to be okay with it, and that you have to go through the process. And even with that, it still hits me
Right.
in waves. Some days I'm good and some days I'm not. I'm not. So all my mothers out there, I love you all. Thank you for being resilient, hardworking women that keep pushing through. And if you are fighting these silent battles, find you a support group. Well, thank you all for tuning in to hear me out. I know that was a heavy one, but I know it's going to resonate with
Yeah.
a woman out there. If you liked our podcast today, like, retweet, subscribe, share, all of it. We hope to see you and hear from you by the next episode.